This has to be a joke. This cannot actually be happening in our world right now. There must be some mistakes, some miscommunication, or it's just a big practical joke. I'm really waiting for Ashton Kutcher to come out and say that I've been punked. But sadly, this is what's actually happening right now in the world. So, welcome back, first of all, to Coffee Time News, the news segment I do every Monday talking about politics or anything that goes on in the world. Uh, Before I start, of course, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, follow us on all of our listening networks, follow us on our Coffee Time News Mondays and our Thirsty Thursday segment that I do with my friend Captions. I was going to cover some stuff that was going on in the Biden administration, but this story kind of took precedence. So I guess I'm not going to talk about the fact that Joe Biden has destroyed feminism by letting biological males compete in women's sports, or the fact that over 9,000 people have now filed for unemployment under his administration because of his effects that he did on the Keystone Pipeline, as well as stopping the construction at the border. So the news story that I'm going to be covering today is how the organization, what I call a terrorist organization known as Black Lives Matter, and yes, I do believe it's a terrorist organization because they are using fear as well as violence to go toward a political aim, which is the definition of terrorism. But anyway, Black Lives Matter has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. And I'm going to say that again, a Nobel Peace Prize. How does that even compute? How is that even a thing? The same organization that burned Minneapolis almost down to the ground, as well as starting looting, riots, deaths of innocent people, deaths of officers, how are they being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize? I guess their definition over there of peace is a little bit different than the definition that we use here in the States. And it's hard for me to understand this. I understand the concept of what Black Lives Matter was supposed to be, but what it really was is completely different. Now, I'm not going to discredit the entire organization. It does it for itself. It makes it to where people shake their heads and like, what are these people thinking whenever they're destroying the businesses and the lives of the people that they're actually trying to protect? How can you care about Black lives when you're destroying their means to make a living and to support their families? Like, how is that a thing? And how are you now getting acknowledged as being so peaceful that you get the Nobel Peace Prize? Now, I know in the past they've given away that prize to undeserving individuals, such as Obama. Um, of course, he did receive it in his administration, I guess, for whatever reason. You know, building cages, separating families, everything that people accuse Trump of doing, but actually was done in his administration. So, for those of you listening out there, I really want to know, what do y'all think of this crap? And I do mean crap. Because if we're using these people as a means to say that this is what peace is, then I have some other nominees in mind. And let's see if you agree. I think we should nominate, Joseph Stalin, Karl Marx, maybe Saddam Hussein, Bin Laden. Hell, throw Adolf Hitler in there, I guess. Because it doesn't make sense. How is Black Lives Matter eligible for even getting the Peace Prize? And these other individuals aren't. It does not make sense. And I think it's so apparent that this is the climate we live in today. Like, it went from us fighting for our country to just ducking our heads and staying silent because we know that the media is going to censor us and other people are going to censor us. And that's why I do this podcast, because I don't give a shit. If you want to censor me, fine. I'm going to find other outlets. But to say that we don't have the voice and to speak out against this heinous shit that's going on, it's ridiculous. Like, who would agree that this organization actually deserves a Nobel Peace Prize? If you agree with that statement, then I'm sorry, you really need to educate yourself on what was happening in 2020 with this organization. Doing more harm than good, killing innocent people, destroying innocent businesses, destroying their own neighborhoods. And for what? Like, this is just to show how this new administration, like, used these people. They even said in a tweet stating that they think that they were used by the Democratic Party. Of course you were used. They gave you the victim card and you used it to the fullest. Because they know they can control you whenever you start becoming a victim, whenever you start becoming entitled, and whenever you start feeling offended or whatever feelings you all have. Once that shit starts happening, then anyone can control you. And this upsets me because I wish other people that were more deserving of this award had gotten this award. And I just don't know how a terrorist organization, and yes, I'm calling it that. That's what I firmly believe that organization is. Reason why, let's look up the definition of a terrorist organization. Let's look at the phrase terrorism. Let me see. So I'm going to Google right now. Terrorism. So terrorism, the unlawful use of force and violence against persons or property to intimidate or coerce a government, the civilian population, or any segment, therefore in furtherance of political or social objectives. If that's not Black Lives Matter in a nutshell, then I don't know what is. When you're using fear and intimidation for a political aim, you're a terrorist at that point. It's not these people that are overseas and, the shadows and everything like that. They exist here. It's anyone. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, fucking ISIS, all those other people. They're using fear and intimidation and violent acts in order for a political gain. So how are these organizations eligible for a peace prize? And when does this shit stop? When do we start waking up and realizing, like, this shit is fucking ridiculous? When do we stop? When do we say this is enough? This is ridiculous. Are we just going to be blind these next 4 years? And to all the people that voted for this type of shit, the ones that voted for Biden, do y'all regret y'all's decision yet? Again, I've been trying to be fair and impartial and unbiased. But it's so fucking hard when you see this stuff happening, this legislation that's being executed right now, coming into the public. How can I ignore it? Now, there was a lot of things that were wrong about the Trump administration. I'll admit that. But there was more good that happened. And the fact that he cared about the American people and put us first. We're on the back burner when it comes to freaking Biden. He doesn't care about the American people. He cares about his own interests. And again, I am an active duty military personnel. I should not be saying this shit. I could get in trouble for this shit. I'll probably at some point be called into an office saying, why did you say this shit? Well, because it's right. It's truth. It's not just an opinion right now. These things that I've been stating on this podcast haven't been debunked. The fact that he's signed these orders, the fact that he's done these certain things, the fact that Black Lives Matter is, by definition, a terrorist organization, and now getting nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. But I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Let me know if I'm wrong. And again, this is not as a gotcha thing. This is not to argue. This is just conversation. We need to start having conversations again and stop shutting down speech. Because once that starts happening, then what makes us different than any other country out there? Where free speech doesn't exist, where rights don't exist. Again, please make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button. Follow us on all of our listening networks. Follow us on all of our social media. We have Instagram. We have Facebook. Just really start thinking for yourselves and really start wondering why the hell is this crap going on right now. But until next time, this is Coffee Time News, and we'll see you in the next one.